Hey, it's your Uncle Herman here, and I'm still an alpha male. Recently, Molly-Mae has been in the news for saying that everyone has the same 24 hours in the day, and therefore, if you just try hard enough, you can be successful.
Beyonce has the same 24 hours in a day that we do. You're given one life, and it's down to you what you do with it. Like, you can literally go in any direction. The world is literally our oyster, and we can do whatever we want with the 24 hours in the day that we're given. So why the hell am I not going to go out and make the most of them and do crazy things and make the as I said, make the most of it. If you want something enough, you can achieve it, and it just depends to what lengths you want to go to get where you want to be in the future.
If you've never heard of her, Molly-Mae is an influencer who became famous after appearing on the reality dating show Love Island. Since the show, she's been the subject of a number of controversies and scrutiny online, and unfortunately an internet hate campaign against her, both before and during her most recent incident. It's worth mentioning that in the past she's been targeted a lot with people commenting on her body and her looks, and I just wanted to bring this up because when this was happening, I was completely on her side. I really felt for her, and the negative attention that she was getting was very unjust.
You're literally plummeted into this new world of trolling, and every single person on this planet has an opinion of you, and you're kind of having to just sit back and say, okay, that's okay for everyone to have an opinion of me. And I think what happened on holiday, it's happened to me many times before now, and you do just kind of get used to it, as sad as it is, and it kind of becomes a normality and normal to kind of have things said about that about you. It doesn't get any easier, it doesn't at all, but I think for me, I'm lucky that I've got Tommy and that I'm quite thick-skinned, because I always say that if it was happening to another girl, I would worry for their mental health, and I would worry for them.
And so I'm certainly not here to point out Molly-Mae's flaws or try and cancel her or anything like that, but I would like to talk about the wider discussion that has arisen from the clip of her that's been circulating this week regarding her success, work ethic and privilege. The clip of Molly-Mae that has gone viral is from a podcast that she appeared on recently called Diary of a CEO, where she was interviewed about her achievements and becoming the creative director of fast fashion company PrettyLittleThing at age just 22.
I think for me, watching my parents have a very ordinary life, it sort of petrified me a bit. It was a bit terrifying, this thought of, I don't want to grow up in this house, and when I'm old in my rocking chair, tell my grandkids, I had this really ordinary life and I had an ordinary job, I had an ordinary income that. It petrified me from, I reckon I started feeling that way from about 15. I realised the world is literally our oyster, and we can do whatever we want with the 24 hours in the day that we're given. So why the hell am I not going to go out and make the most of them and do crazy things and make the as I said, make the most of it. So
Molly-Mae makes an interesting point here, saying that she never wanted an ordinary life, she always wanted more. This yearning for more wealth, to buy more things, to have more experiences, is a very individualist and capitalist classic trap that hustle culture can trick people into. It's a never-ending cycle of wanting more, getting more, and then wanting more again. And it's a mindset that often leads to dissatisfaction and burnout.
I remember when my goal was, I really want to get £1 million in my bank account. That's all I wanted to do. I was like, that is my goal. And then the minute I reached it, I was like, well, I want 2 now. I want 2 million. And it's I never am happy with where I'm at. I'm constantly working towards the next thing. But I think you need that. You need that work ethic. You need that desire to always want more. It's never enough for me. Even when I got my biggest dream collabs, and it's just, what can I get next?
One commenter on the original podcast wrote, "This is a really interesting podcast. I appreciate her honesty and I deeply admire her work ethic. Personally, I can only dream of a work ethic like hers, to be so driven and determined. However, I feel like with her determination comes a lack of appreciation. The segment where Molly talks about how she's never satisfied and wants more, although that's all well and good, it worries me how it seems like she doesn't understand that what she's achieved and the opportunities that she has are what people could only dream of. What I mean by this is when she said, when I got £1 million in my bank account, it wasn't enough for me and I wanted 2. This rubbed me, and I'm sure lots of other people the wrong way. And it worries me that her drive is solely based on money and materialistic things. This came across to me as a very capitalistic mindset, and it just concerns me that she might be influencing young people to focus their energy on constantly making money rather than finding happiness." Another thing to point out is the questionable ethics of the company that she works for and represents, PrettyLittleThing. PrettyLittleThing is a notorious fast fashion brand owned by Boohoo that for a long time now has been scrutinised for paying workers low wages and providing unacceptable working conditions. It baffles me that Molly-Mae seems completely oblivious to the amount of workers that are exploited daily by the very company that she signed a £500,000 deal with.
I think what you've just said is actually the key to why I've become successful in what I do, is because it is so strict with what I do take on and what I don't take on. My days are planned out to the nth degree. It is so particular what work I'm doing, and everything is done with such thought and such understanding behind it. Like, I'm never taking on work that I don't understand, or posting things on my socials that I'm not 100% behind or using. Like, I think that is the key to being successful in this industry and influencing, if you want to call it. Like, it's knowing what you're doing and knowing what you're talking about is gospel. Like, you use those products, you stand behind what you're saying. Like, I think that is why I have done well in what I do, because I am so believing in what I say, and my followers know that. Like, they know that I'm not talking about something on my YouTube unless I use it, unless I believe in it.
A report on ethical consumers reported that PrettyLittleThing was marked down in the human rights category because its parent company Boohoo was found to be selling clothes made by Pakistani workers who earned 29p per hour, according to a December 2020 article in The Guardian. It was also marked down for the Leicester Garment Factory scandal. An independent investigation published in September 2020 stated Boohoo's monitoring of its Leicester supply chain has been inadequate for many years. The investigation was carried out after claims that workers were paid below minimum wage, as low as £3.50 per hour. The investigation said allegations of unacceptable working conditions and underpayment of workers are not only well-founded but are substantially true. Many large clothes companies list the countries where suppliers are located due to how sourcing from oppressive regimes and supply chain workers' rights abuses are common in the clothing sector. As neither Boohoo nor PrettyLittleThing disclosed the country of origin of its suppliers, it lost half a mark under ethical consumers human rights category. After watching the full interview, firstly, I do credit Steve Bartlett for asking really interesting and well thought out questions, as it is a really interesting watch if you have the time and want to hear about Molly-Mae's career and her mindset. After hearing all that she had to say, I don't think that Molly-Mae had malicious intentions with this statement. The quote, "You have the same amount of hours in the day as Beyonce," is a staple quote of the Girlboss lifestyle and community. You can find it on walls in cursive fonts, on mugs, on t-shirts, on people's Facebook headers. It's certainly not new, but it does point to a problem with the mindset that tricks people like Molly-Mae into thinking that all of their success is due to their work ethic without external factors such as privilege, opportunity, background, and luck. So rather than malicious intentions, it seems that Molly-Mae here is a little bit blind to her own privilege. One commenter wrote, "The formula to success is not only hard work or hustle, but also luck and privilege. Molly-Mae doesn't seem to understand the latter and equates everything to her hard work. An example of her privilege is being born as someone who lives up to society's standard of beauty. White woman, pretty and young, living in the UK. She was born with the blueprint to succeed in this industry. I do feel like Molly has fallen into the hustle culture, but she will grow up and by her mid-20s will gain a lot more wisdom to hopefully be more humble and realise that life isn't a contest about what you can do with your 24 hours. Influencers and hustlers like Molly seem to have almost tricked themselves into thinking that working hard makes you successful directly, but often they fail to acknowledge that there are so many things that can limit a person's success. No matter how hard people work, people's race, class and background all come into play here, and so a main part of the uproar around Molly-Mae is her lack of acknowledgement that being a white, middle-class, conventionally beautiful woman plays a lot into her success in any industry, especially one that profits off of looks. There are plenty of examples of the influencer pay gap where black women are being paid as much as 75% less for participating in the exact same campaigns as their white counterparts on Instagram. This is explored in depth in an article that I will link below about the influencer pay gap, and this just scratches the surface of the inequalities that people have to face in order to make it in any workplace, and people like Molly-Mae's complete blindness to this is only exemplified when they use terms such as level playing field.
The show just it just elevated me. And then I think one thing I always say is that when you come off that show, you're all on a level playing field and it's totally up to you where you go with it. And I just knew that I wanted to go just to levels that no one had ever gone to.
The mindset that if you work hard enough you can achieve anything is a staple of Girlboss MLM culture. Just keep working. The only thing in the way of your success is yourself. You're just not trying hard enough. It completely disregards the inequality in which people can get opportunities to achieve these things, and it equates success to money and assets rather than happiness and contentment. It's the reason that MLM culture has fooled so many and continues to, because people want a way in. They want to know that they can grow their wealth with their own hard work. But the reality is that society is structured in ways that put people of different backgrounds at a huge disadvantage in terms of the opportunities that are given to them. A working mother of 4 on food stamps technically has the same hours in a day as a rich influencer, but she doesn't have them for herself. The more privileged you are, the more opportunities you have, and the less stress you have about where you're going to live or how you're going to pay your bills. The people working in PrettyLittleThing's abysmal conditions for £3 an hour are likely working as hard as they physically can, but they do not have the same resources as an influencer, and therefore no matter how hard they work, they will likely never see the amount of money that an influencer like Molly-Mae gets paid for one post on Instagram. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. I have analysed Girlboss and MLM culture a few months ago in a video called Gaslight Gatekeep Girlboss that I will link in the corner of this video. Otherwise, I have been your Uncle Herman. As always, thank you for watching this video and I'll see you in the next one.